very happy to have Mark Surabian here. Mark has been an awesome connector for us here at Meetup New York City. Several of the people we contacted to present here, we also met through Mark, so we appreciate it. Excited to learn about his project that's been instrumental in New York City, AT Help, today, and look forward to a good conversation. We should have time for some Q&A after the talk as well.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Hopefully you can hear me. This is the first time I've been upright in like 2 weeks. I'm not contagious, it's just asthma is not a nice thing, and I have my voice back just in time. My wife was like, how are you gonna talk tomorrow? I don't know, I'll wing it, thank God for a microphone though. I run AT Help. I've been doing assistive tech for 30 years in Chicago and New York, and it dawned on me that I was only helping one kid at a time. And I wasn't really getting anywhere. There's so many children to help with regards to assistive technology. And yet, I couldn't. Lectures weren't going to be enough. What would I do? So I thought, could I open a free clinic? So I opened up an internet cafe back when they were almost still popular. And it was all waning. It's too bad. I just kind of slow starter, you know? And we opened it up in Harlem. And it was a internet cafe that claimed it could serve anyone. A person who was deaf came in once and asked me how, we could help him, and we set up a screen so he could talk to 5 friends at once, which was pretty progressive 10 years ago. Another person came in who was blind and wanted to know how to use something. I think back then they called it, what's called Smartbox or something. It was a box that would read their emails to them. A man came in who could not speak or move any part of his body except his eyes, and we had to investigate that one. So that's when we discovered eye tracking. And we invited people in that did eye tracking. We served anybody we could for free. What was cool is that it was integrated. Everybody in the community found a place to hang out. And Luke and I were talking before today started, your first speaker, and we realized that for every step forward, sometimes in the tech world we take a couple back. When the internet was invented, when I was in college, yes, that's how old I am, and I teach at Pace, and my students are always funny. Mr. Surabian, see, your generation, and I love to correct them really quickly, my generation invented the computer, so why don't you sit down and pay attention? I'm Steve Jobs' age, for God's sakes. Give us a little credit. So anyway, what kills me is that, well, here, let me just get to our point here, is that the cafe died, okay? But the idea lived on. And what we did is we created a free place for people to come and get assistive tech help so that everybody could participate. Oh, what I was talking about 2 steps ahead and 1 step backwards is when the internet was invented, it was text-based. People with vision impairments were like, yes, things can be read to me. And then the rest of you were unsatisfied. We needed it to be graphically based. Great, 2 steps backwards. Now what are these graphics doing there on my screen? So this is what happens all the time in our field, because we don't have enough foresight. The lessons you're getting today, it's not about the tech. It's about your foresight. It's about the way you think. It's about who you envision to be part of your community. That is the only thing that matters here. The tech really doesn't matter. Question to all of you. Are these forms of assistive technology? I don't think I need to educate you on what that is. You probably all know. But are these forms of assistive tech? They're not. They're not. That's not what they were developed for. None of these were developed for our community. Don't fool yourselves. They're developed for a lazy general population that wanted to talk to their computer, or wanted to be able to touch things instead of using a mouse, or wanted to record things because whatever they said was that important. And of course, the lazy people like me like to drive and listen to an audiobook. By the way, I don't really recommend that, because especially in New York, because you get so caught up in a good book that you forget you're driving, at times. Anyway, they weren't invented for us, but we adopted them. We're always paying attention to the world around us to see how can that help the people we serve. That's what's cool about the assistive tech field, because what Tom Harkin and those people did is they had this big vision of what assistive tech could be. Assistive tech isn't a thing. It's anything. This is really important. It's anything. It could be a piece of paper used correctly that divides a screen, that divides a keyboard for a child that has visual problems so that they can separate their hands when they're typing. That is used to increase, maintain, or improve the functional capabilities of a person with a disability. That's what it is. So really, it's all about a vision. That's what assistive tech is. Now, we've got money, we have need. The problem is assistive tech just isn't fully utilized. It's been around for actually over 100 years, but in the formal way that we know, it's about 30 years old. That's when we all started organizing and talking about it and giving it a real name. I work in the education system. This is what I face every day. AT is a crutch, a false promise, a dependency. It's cheating. I hear this from young educators, millennials who I thought would be a little bit more savvy, but still want that kid that has a handwriting problem to learn how to do it the way I did. Really? I'd expect that from my generation, not from theirs, but I see it all the time. So it's not, let me just explain something. My favorite one is crutch. What's a crutch? A crutch is something to get up from a sitting position and move forward. It's not something to lean on and stay there all day. That's not what a crutch is. So when they abuse us with the word crutch, I laugh and go, crutch is empowerment. You get up and move forward. So I embrace that. I embrace that what we do is give kids crutches to move forward. The problem with our system is that it's a medical model. If you ever looked at what's called an IEP, an educational plan for children with disabilities, it says he has CP, he has blindness, he has, a learning disability. Yes, that's your medical description. It doesn't help me as a teacher. It doesn't help me as a parent. What IEP should tell us is he can't participate in class and why. That's the issue. The issue is one of participation. John Hockenberry is in a wheelchair, great reporter. John Hockenberry in Washington, D.C. really doesn't have a significant disability because he can fly those cement sidewalks. You send him to Iraq, in the middle of a war zone, on a bad weather day, and his disability is far more apparent because his mobility is impaired. So it's about whether you participate. It's not the medical classification of disability is irrelevant. And that's how we have to rewrite things. We have to rewrite things and think, how are kids not participating? How can we change that? And that's what the technology does. It's all about participation. We fought for years about the concept of inclusion. Kids should be included in the classroom. One of my students, Justin, was included. And he got all these computers. And is he fixed? Is he okay? He's a quadriplegic. He uses his fingers to type mostly his voice. And he just graduated from community leadership. Everybody needs to hire somebody, mathematics degree in computer science. And Justin's looking for a job. Another real child with people with disabilities right now. 70% unemployment. Not 70. And they thought because they put him in a class with his able-bodied peers, that they call them, he was included. Nobody taught him how to use a computer. Nobody adapted it. Nobody made it useful. And then it sat there and got dust until somebody made it work. And then they participated. For the first time, he had a book read to him so that he could become a reader. And then he's moved on. And then, well, himself. Here's his friend of his. Case in point. This is Randy. Randy's a public figure. So I'm using his name for his permission. This is Randy when he was about third grade. He couldn't speak. He couldn't hold a pen. His hands doesn't have fine motor. He can't read or write. He really couldn't focus. My gosh, if you didn't breathe hard, I didn't turn around. Talk about attention issues. And his psychological report didn't say this. The term we used in my time was mental retardation, which is far worse. I'm not too thrilled with this either. He has an intellectual disability. My question has always been, okay, psychologist, I love my peers. In that realm, how did you determine if he has an intellectual disability? He can't write, he can't read, he can't talk, he can't manipulate a pen or any object in any part of your test. He can't do your test. We interpreted it, Mark. You certainly did. This way. I interpreted it this way and said, I presume competence. Question?
Yeah, I was just wondering if that definition, is that from DSM-3 or whatever version is it from, or was it?
I don't know if they're using that now, but the school systems are using intellectual disability as opposed to mental retardation. It's much more fashionable. It doesn't mean that it's retarded, that it's slowed or delayed. It means that it just is. It's just really
I
the
was
same
just
thing.
wondering if there was a formal, like, definitions because of some test or some, whatever thing.
I think it's just like that terminology.
Oh, okay, so I just wondered.
Yeah. Anyway, if you look at the new neuroscience, even the differentiated instruction we do, even the fact that we have only different kinds of learning. I'm an audio learner. I'm a visual learner. That's a load of crap. Look at the neuroscience. It's a load of crap. This is what happens. Neuroscience makes us advance in teaching. It gets us 20 years later. It's that late. We all learn the same way. Your brain functions the same way. Everybody does the same thing. Now, we have greater or lesser physical or sensory strengths, true. That's not going to change the way the stuff's coming in and coming out. But your access to it does. How can you see it? How can you manipulate it? How can you use it? So it's all about access. It's all about participating. It's all about physically being involved with your learning materials, or visually or auditorily. So the way we work is we presume competence. We presume that a child can be a learner. What else? I mean, I'm 50 years old. I'm 54. I look young because I say 50. I went back to school at 50. If you don't presume competence in individuals, then you're saying a 50-year-old can't go back to school. That learning just magically stops at 21 when you get that college degree and there's no more. No, it doesn't work that way. We never stop learning. So we have to presume competence. We have to enhance participation. And my argument with the technology is that change comes. And like I said, participation is defined by the accessibility to the curriculum. So what can happen if you change my level of access? That's my question. So that's what we do with assistive tech. We keep trying to improve that child's access to the curriculum, to participate. Where are the weaknesses of participation? This is what can happen. This is what happened to Randy. Okay? He learned to communicate with a limited communication device. I remember him being 9 years old and going, I don't anymore. And I'm like, yeah, you kind of do, but I didn't understand that full sentence. It's like, oh, I'll give you that. But, he was learning to verbally communicate. He was learning to express himself, but he had been using the device since he was 4 to communicate in a symbolic way so that cognitively he could participate and learn until his voice, if it did, ever caught up. We don't have time to worry about when things are going to catch up for a person with a disability. They need to be participating now. And that's what we did. We gave him a voice. We had the tools to type, to write. We kept presuming competence, even when he was only doing 50% of what his peers were doing freshman year of school. And the teacher's like, he doesn't belong here. Funny story. In high school, head of high school, special ed, we went upgrading into the inclusion program. I'm like, he's been in inclusion his whole life. Please come to this slide. So I said, give him a week. So calls me the next day. She says, Mark, he's brilliant. I said, brilliant? Yeah. Well, we have this computer in the teacher's lounge, and Randy fixed it. They broke it for weeks. They made him eat lunch in the teacher's lounge because they didn't think it was safe for people to mainstream population. So I called Randy on the phone, and Randy's like, Randy, what did you do? Plugged it in. Randy, don't tell anybody. Okay, don't tell anybody ever what you did. And he got into the program and he stayed. Senior year, he was doing trigonometry. I can't even spell trigonometry. Here's Randy. Oh, what if I could get it? More sound, probably. a joke in grade 9. He loves all those movies, so he started impersonating Marvel. And he gets it really, really well. He does his with art here, which is what my voice sounds like today. So it's really hard for him to speak. But he's gained greater strength over the years. He's over at AM CDT now studying. He doesn't know what he wants to do. He's doing computer science, but a lot of our kids get into the tech industry. To us, the term disability really shouldn't describe the person on an educational plan. It should describe the environment. Now, there's a big debate. If you're a person with a disability, you say, Mark, don't dismiss my disability and say that it doesn't exist. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the way we talk about you, we shouldn't be talking about you as a person. We should be talking about your involvement in the community, in the environment, your experience as disabled. We can fix environments. This is really important. So technology, to me, it's not a thing. It's a way to see. It's a way of how can we change things. Now, I'm going to be really obnoxious right now. I'm going to say, right in the middle here. It's really hard to see. I mean, it's really wrong. I mean, it's so successful. I made it lying in bed the other day. Handwriting, reading, writing, calculations, and memorizing are overrated. I say this to literacy groups all the time. Reading is overrated. Mark, how dare you? It is. I know a lot of blind people who don't read. Mark, that's not the same. No, it is the same thing. It's not the mechanics of reading. It's the ability to process the information you get into yourself by whatever means. That's what it is. It's taking in information. It's expressing yourself about it. It's thinking about it. That's what learning is. But this is what we penalize kids for. If a kid has a low incidence disability, which means like dyslexia, or high incidence disability like dyslexia, we don't see those disabilities. So therefore, he's going to learn to write cursive. I got a letter last night. Mark, my son's been held back because his cursive and his his writing and so forth is really limited. Although he speaks really well, they really want him to work on this. Work on what? The mechanics of what? Let me get some support from this guy, Socrates. He's kind of important. I was over in Met the other day and I took a picture of him. And I went, where's his nose, first off? But anyway, the joke in our community is Socrates was dyslexic, dysgraphic, and ADHD. He never stopped talking. He got in trouble with the law. He was a blue-collar worker who developed things, and he never wrote anything. That sounds like a lot of guys I know that have dyslexia, dysgraphia, and ADHD. And he himself said that writing destroyed thinking. Because as soon as you wrote it down, it couldn't be interpreted. It could be interpreted in many ways by many people. But the only person that really knew that meant was the person who wrote it. He said that it's about speaking. That's what it's about. It's about thinking. And the irony is we based our whole educational system on this dude, and he never wrote anything. We're still debating what students wrote about him. So the thing that's important to me is that if you're an educator, that you have a lens. You already do. And that your lens affects the way you serve your students. If you presume competence, if you see capability, okay, then you'll know what to do. And my argument is that technology can impact that lens. I believe that you can have typical pedagogy, you have typical tools, and your typical students. But every now and then you're going to run into a barrier for one student. Your pedagogy doesn't have to end. This is where the private schools get in trouble. Mark, you will help remediation. Yes, in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. He has homework tonight. That's the problem. His self-esteem as a learner is going down today. I want to empower him with the tools so that he keeps learning along your pathway. And that's what assistive tech does. Lifts you up, keeps you going. We have assistive tech for all of these areas, from phonemic awareness and handwriting to the physical manipulation of math and science materials. We have assistive tech for processing challenges, for organization, retention, problem solving. We have tools for every mechanical thing that a student's obligated to do in the classroom. And finally, the one you're most familiar with is we have assistive tech for output, for graphic motor, which is handwriting, spelling, written expression. You know that word prediction you have on your phone? It sucks. We have word prediction. We have word prediction that if you're reading a wimpy kid like my 8-year-old nephew, word prediction pops out with all the names of characters in the wimpy kid books. You don't have that on your phone, do you? Try it. You don't have. So, but it's amazing the stuff that we have in our field. So my attitude to you is AT is not really a thing. It's a way of thinking. It's an orientation. And I'm going to fly through a couple, because we only have a few minutes, but I'm going to fly through a couple of the assistive tech things that we have. But we have assistive tech for all of these areas and then more. Learning disabilities, neurological challenges, physical mobility challenges, communication, hearing and visual challenges. We have assistive tech to serve anybody. But remember this, they're not coming to me as a person with a particular medical definition of disability. They come to me as a person that can't participate. That means that a child who's blind, a child who's dyslexic, and a child with a physical disability who conceivably all have the same school-based disability. They can't manipulate a textbook. So their real disability in school is they can't manipulate a textbook. Find an accessible textbook. Done. It has nothing to do with what we're classifying it. We're trying to solve a problem. And that's not how we think. Over at my website, you guys are a lot of developers. I'm open to suggestions. I'm trying to find a new platform to work better content. But I got a lot of stuff, a lot of dead links. According to a lot of my students with autism who support, I have a lot of volunteers with disabilities. My students with autism love to analyze all my dead links, and then they find all of them. So I got a lot of them. The first thing I want you to think about assistive tech, I'm going to fly through a couple, are the built-in features to absolutely every device that's out there. It's free. And that's all educators really need to know, is that everything from their phone to their computers has all these built-in, and I have on my website, built-in features, you know, in Windows. Oh, incredible ones in Windows, actually, don't appreciate that. Apple. Even in Google Chrome, a lot of built-in features. Chrome is an operating system, even though it can play on any computer. The iPad, amazing things. As a matter of fact, my favorite is guided access. Does anyone know what guided access is? Okay, does anyone have a child? You better learn what guided access is if you have a child. You can lock them into one place in the iPad. They can't go anywhere else. So cool. We fought for that with the autism community with Apple. They kept saying, no, we're not doing it, we're not doing it. Oh, we won. So if you press your iPad 3 times the home button, it'll lock out the iPad so the kid can't go anywhere except where you said. Pretty cool. Kids with autism typically know how to get out of it really fast. That's why we invented it, so that they can't go anywhere. Anyway, like I said, we've got tools for writing. I'll leave this with anybody that wants to put online. Lots of note-taking tools that are out there. Lots of organizational tools that are out there. Reading supports. Just digital books in general are amazing. And then please ignore all the studies that come from my generation of academics, okay? Ignore them all. Especially the ones that say that reading, well, college students prefer paper over digital. Yes, because the kids that are in college now had paper their whole lives, you idiots. Let's wait till we get a full digital generation to do that study. My God. But if you're in college, you're saving 30% of the book because it's digital. When your professor is dumb enough to say, find these terms in your book, I can search for them. Boy, that's a really bad professor. I can highlight, extract, I can put notes in it, talk about a rich text, digital, and I don't have to, you know what it was like for college student carrying books? And then for you guys, I did that, right? And then there's your books. This is amazing. So, amazing support to the digital realm. These are a lot. This one, WordCamp, still working its bugs out, but its claims to help people with vision impairments or dyslexia read, because as you aim the glasses at anything, it reads what's in front of you, and it tells you you're here. It's really quite beautiful. And a lot of bugs, but it's getting there. Reading supports, as we said, lots of things that I thought I actually did too much. Okay. Lots of wonderful reading supports to look at. And if you want, books that I made, digital books, PowerPoint, it's great to make books. Math tools, tons of manipulatives, and then tools that embed themselves into Microsoft Word now, so people can, because kids have word problems, some of them are just math. So kids that can't write these characters can actually do math. Justin, to get his mathematics degree, because he's quadriplegic, uses math product. He actually seeks math. I don't know how you seek math. Math tools for the iPad and so forth. The final group of apps are really amazing. We put a whole bunch of them together in ChromeToolbox.com because Chrome apps are growing fast. And the beauty about Assistive Tech in the cloud is it follows you wherever you go. So you sign in anywhere, all your Assistive Tech comes to you. It's not perfect yet, but it's a growing way of doing Assistive Tech. You'll find it in the Google Store, which the guys at Google have always told me has the worst search engine on earth. You can't find anything in the Google Store. They joke about it. They said there's only one worse search engine than that one. That's the one in their office. And I swear to you, they say the one in their office is horrible. Anybody work for Google? No, that's true. They say that they have a horrible search engine in the office. Anyway, lots of apps, lots of add-ons now to Google Docs. You can talk to Google Docs. You can do math embedded into Google Docs, organizational tools in Google Docs. And of course, Microsoft is stepping up their game right now too. So like I said, there's more there. Last one I'm going to show you is this little guy. And I was told that he couldn't use his communication device because he wasn't cognitively able. He was 5 years old, he had Down syndrome. And the speech therapist told me that he couldn't do this, Mark, so why are you trying? He does not cognitively able to understand symbolic communication. Have you ever seen a 2-year-old with an iPad? Please. So what do you do when the speech therapist interferes with your attempt to do that? Well, you wait until she goes to lunch. And you go and you prove that this little boy was ticked off and I'm demanding that he communicate instead of uses his behavior to get lost in a little attitude. And it shows me exactly what he wants. He wants goldfish. That's what every preschooler wants. Goldfish. So do I, but I'm too old to eat it. But, experiments over because he sees on camera and it's all over. It's all. Anyway, we have tools for communication as well that are great. I just want to say that AT is a way of thinking. It's not, I can sit here and teach you about all these tools, but like Luke said at the beginning, they all change. They all change. They're always going to change. I need to teach you, if you want to do this, that it's about your orientation, the way you look at a person. And if you're fixing your participation level, you don't have to worry about what the disability is. You have to worry about where they can't participate. And that could be at your job, it could be in school, it could be in the community, local bar. It could be the fact that NYU is the most beautiful facility here that's marked really well for people with disabilities. Beautiful stalls there, so the person with a wheelchair can actually use the stalls and use the bathroom well. There's only one problem, they can't get out of the bathroom. There's no exit button to open that door. And you ever think about that? You can get in, you just can't get out. So let's work on that. Anyway, I'm going to take questions when I have my assistant. Thanks, guys. Oh, and if you want to see a really cool movie about a bunch of kids I know with disabilities had their own conference, it's on YouTube. I'll leave that up. You can search for it. These kids ran their own conference. That's Justin, who just graduated. That's Randy, who's in college. Tom, who just passed 4 of his regents. He's nonverbal. He's passed 4 of his regents so far at the lab school. And Abraham, who's at the University of Virginia on a full ride, severely dysgraphic, dyslexic, and worked this summer as an intern for the mayor's office for disabilities. He's an amazing young man. He wants to be president. I hope he isn't, because he has some very scary ideas. And we've had enough of those lately, so. But thanks, guys. Leave that up. Sure.
Any, just from doing AT help in the community,
Yeah.
any sort of patterns of most commonly asked, problems, or what are some of the ones that are?
I think it always comes down to the most profound thing that happens. 2,500 kids have come through there. And I wish I had done a study. Because the most profound thing that happens is a gestalt. I don't think I fix the situation most of the time. What I fix is the conversation. Kid comes in, and I usually let them speak first. And the parents say, try to jump in and say, psychologist said, the teacher said, my doctor said, and he's been through this battery of tests, And then the child says, yeah, you know, Mark, I can't do A, B, or C. And then I show them a tool that solves that situation. It doesn't matter if he can have it or not. What matters is he now believes that there's a solution. And the gestalt happens, and he walks out with a smirk. And the mothers or fathers call and say, Mark, I don't know what you did today because I don't think we solved it, but he's happier because he knows that there's another path, and that's all that matters. He'll find it. But we are the ones that step on the kids, even in a nice way, and go, it's okay, your handwriting will get better. He's 6. Leave him alone. It should be, it's okay. Handwriting, we can try typing later. Hey, either way, you're going to express yourself. Right now, you could dictate me and tell me what you want to write for this story. But we don't do that. And so it's that gestalt. I think that's the most profound thing I've learned from all of this. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah, hi.
Hi. Maybe this is something to discuss later.
Sure.
But I have a friend who's going to lose funding for his eye gaze, the computer where you look
Yeah.
and talk, and Medicaid doesn't want to pay for it anymore. So we need to find alternate ways of funding or like an eye gaze app or something.
Let's definitely talk about it.
Okay.
Absolutely. Oh, well, we actually broadened our scope now to serve adults too. So I'll see them for free, which is really neat that we can see adults for free because my sister has MS, and I got to tell you, nobody supports the MS Society for assistive tech. So we need to support the adult community too. I mean, there are a lot of organizations in town that will support them through billing and so forth, but there are 2 months of wait. People need to talk about it now, so that's what we're there for, if you need to talk about it now. And we're also supporting professional groups now. So if you're an advocacy group or an education group and you want to come and learn about how you can help your kids, as long as you're helping a specific clientele of people, we'll help you for free. And I say we because I have a lot of volunteers of my students. They volunteer. That's how they get their high school hours. It's pretty brilliant. So Tom's helping right now. Tom's a lot bigger than that now. And he's helping support. Okay. Thanks. Thank you, guys. Sure.